Start the frame on there?
Yeah.
You rolling?
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah.
So start it on John, and whenever you're ready.
Good evening. My name is John Buckvick, and welcome. Thank you for coming. The end of year 20. All right. It's produced a lot of students and a lot of community and a lot of alumni. I look out here and there's people I go, I've seen that person before and I've seen that person before. I have kids that have grown up here, acted here, left, come back. Some of them around here in the audience at the moment as we speak. I think that covers it. It's enough. I said I wouldn't babble. I'm trying not to babble. Enjoy Much Ado About Nothing. I am the director of Summer Shakespeare. I am the founder of Summer Shakespeare. I started in 2001. One of the first things I did after the first two shows, actually I think I did 3 shows in the first year. In the first summer, I wanted to do Summer Shakespeare, so I started Summer Shakespeare. I wanted to do outdoor Shakespeare for free, and I wanted it to involve my students and the community, which is our general casting policy. We started with our first show, which is actually the show we're doing this year. 20 years later, we're repeating. We did Much Ado About Nothing. 10 plus years previous to coming to Brookdale, as an actor, I had done Summer Shakespeare multiple times. I did it outside, I did it with some of my former mentors. I loved doing it, I enjoyed the experience. Ironically, my wife and I met doing Summer Shakespeare. It's only had good things associated with it. So when I got here, I wanted to sort of create that same atmosphere for the people that I was in charge of, that I was put in charge of as far as teaching and taking care of them and hopefully teaching them about theater and acting. And I think the most rewarding thing is it's just the people, the students. You know, some of them start young and then work their way through. Some of them start a little bit older, and it's a nice family. It's just a nice family of people. All right, so we are 1 week away from auditions. Audition sheet, cover the audition sheet. We need to cover the audition sheet. That should be taken care of. Script, for the most part, we need to look through it, make sure it's all clean. Other than that, I think that puts us in a good place for where we are a week out. Probably more so than normal, for the most part. As far as expectations, it's always the same thing, right? Where we sit is, I have no idea who's coming. I have no idea who's not coming. I don't know if people are coming back. I don't know if a week and a half from today I'm going to be sitting here going, how can I cut this and do a version with 10 people or whatever it might be. So those are part of the expectations are just really hoping that you get enough people to play the roles and people who can meet the challenge. That's really the issue.
Have you decided where we're going to do it this year? Is it going to be in the original spot, the corn crib, or
That's
even
my favorite answer, Judy. I don't know. No, we haven't, because I don't have a identified set designer yet.
Okay.
And I'm not sure which way I want to go. When we first started, we were out on what? I don't know. People have assimilated to the name. I called it the Great Lawn simply because it was a term that I had heard before and it worked for us, because it's the corn crib, which is the golden icon on Brookdale's campus. And it was a perfect backdrop because it allows me to hide actors and put a set in front of it. But the first year we actually did it in the middle of the space, and we made a lot of mistakes. We figured things out like, oh, you don't do a 2 o'clock in the afternoon show on a Sunday, because everybody fries. Actors fry, audience fries.
Right, we even tried to set a tent up for cooling,
Yeah.
which really didn't work that well.
Anything else?
I need the sides, but outside of that, yes, I think we are good for next week. I'll make the changes to the audition sheet and put we're filming, are you okay with this, on a separate piece of paper.
And I don't know if you care or not, but your fonts are different.
I do care.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, you are. I have two that are, what did I do there? Yes, I do care. I will correct those.
I know. All right.
I think that's it. I think we're good to go.
Yeah. Now we just need people.
I know.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I'll see you later.
Dost thou not suspect my ears?
I would eat his heart in the marketplace.
I've been looking forward to this ever since the last show ended, and I've just been like counting down the days since work started, so I'm just hoping this is gonna be part of my summer.
Feel like I might be a little rusty, but I'm trying my best. I'm just trying to have a good time and not think too much about it.
I'm pretty confident. I'm just excited to be here.
I hope that my performance at callbacks I am equally satisfied with. That's really all I can ask.
Lady Beatrice, have you wept all this while?
Yea, and I will weep a while longer.
Will not desire that.
Have no reason, I do it freely.
Surely, I do believe your fair cousin is wrong.
The most important things about an audition are when you give someone a direction, you then find out if they can process and apply said direction. If they can, it gives me an idea of what you're capable of. If I say, hey, could you try this again, and this time could you do it with this thought in mind, or with this from this perspective? And if someone gives me the same reading that they gave me previously, I'm like, okay, so either you don't want to take direction or you're incapable of taking direction. But if you see someone try and they might not necessarily hit exactly what you want, it's the trying. I need people who want to learn. I need people who want to work. I'll do my work. If you do your work, let's come to the table, we'll create together. So that's what the audition process is.
There's everyone who auditioned, men and women, alphabetical order, plus, of course, tonight or tomorrow morning, I'll do the single list like I always do, so that you'll have them.
They've all been
Yes, I talked to everyone.
any changes that are noticeable?
Some conflict additions.
Oh, no surprise.
But no, that everyone was happy with their choices, what they will and will not accept, including the people who,
Shouldn't do.
yeah. So,
I'll try and have a list for Monday.
yeah. Well, if not, we'll do it Tuesday.
Thank you, Judy.
You're welcome, John. Thank you,
Robin.
John.
You're welcome, John.
Thank you, ladies. And then after everything's done, again, I have nothing to do with casting. I have seen none of them. And then John goes off, and I'm sure you have John, you ask him, he does his stuff. And that callback process, I do that. I get a lot of joy out of it. It's really exciting to hear people's reactions, and mostly people are happy and excited, and some are like so disbelieving. And I actually give those people like little, I do, okay, well, you can put it there. This will be after this thing. I note how people react, and I tattle.
As you should.
Hello.
Hey, Dejana, it's Judy from Brookdale.
Hey, Judy. How you doing?
I am well, thank you. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. So this is about Much Ado About Nothing.
Okay.
Yep, and we would like to offer you the role of Beatrice. Would you like to accept that role?
I would love to accept that role.
Hello?
Oh, hey, Alexis. In regards to Much Ado About Nothing, hero Claudio Dogberry would you like to accept that role?
Yes, please, thank you. Yeah, I would love that, actually.
Of course, thank you so much.
Our first rehearsal is Monday, May 1st. That's this upcoming Monday at 6 p.m. So now we're cast. We're just waiting for a couple people to call back, which I'll follow up for tomorrow. And then we wait for Monday for the first rehearsal, which is always so exciting.
I stopped doing read-throughs, table reads, a long, long time ago, specifically because people read stuff on night one and they set in motion bad habits, because the nature is to sort of like, oh, well, you do something, now I'll try to do something, now I'll try to do something. And what happens is I am, and you can ask anybody, so again, a lot of you have worked with me already before in this venue as well as other venues. You know it's about process, right? It's only process. Process will take us to where we need to be, and the process ends the last weekend in July.
What is the process?
The process.
You can't be a John Bukovic student and not have heard about the process.
The process is the best part. The process involves understanding the play, what you're saying,
breaking down the script to the beats, understanding, your subtext, your mental, emotional, physical connections, to not just your character to the scene, your character to the play, but the other characters you're in scenes with.
Yes, you've rehearsed this a million times and it could start to feel robotic, but it never does, because you've done this work, you know who you are. Even the things that aren't necessarily mentioned in the play, these are things that you constantly have in the back of your mind so that you can say, well, yes, I would be moving here at this time, or maybe tonight I don't, and maybe I try it this way. The process really just allows for all of that, so that way you're never doing it by the book each time.
Let me put it to you like this. You, in everyday life, might look at a situation and automatically think, well, if I was put in that situation, I would do X, Y, and Z. Now, as an actor who has been assigned a character, your job is to get into their skin.
And just get us to a point where we were really confident in the text and who we were, and we were at the point where you can just trust the process, as John loves to say, and just let go and play and be.
Because you're just two people existing in this moment rather than two actors reciting lines at one another. You're listening, you're processing, you're responding.
But the process to me just refers to that perpetual learning growth experience. So I can look at a production as being a process, or a rehearsal as being a process. But then you could also look at these 10 years that I was involved in this, with this ensemble as a process, as its own process.
I now say that about everything in my life, the process of working towards something. You start just with making some objectives, minor objectives to a major objective, finding those beats and undertones, and working your way towards your super objective.
The process is really finding out who that character is and being able to make choices with that in perspective.
Rehearsals start a very specific way. It's like, okay, we're just gonna read through it. This gives you time to actually read it and process the whole play, and I can send notes, I can talk to people, I can sort of set things in motion, as I said before, on an individual basis, because I don't need Benedict knowing what I tell Beatrice, and I don't need Don John knowing what I tell Claudio. Okay, whoa, before we start. What am I going to say, John?
I don't know.
Yeah, what else is new?
It's just sitting here.
Fucking breathe.
The rehearsal process is very long.
Long.
Intense.
And extensive.
Lots of work.
It is a beast, it is a bear.
John's a little relentless at times with him trying to get you out of your head.
You really start working on the text first and memorizing, because you can't really play with it until you own it. So he does give people resources as to how to break down text, how to look at punctuation, how to look at, repetition of sounds, repetition of words, like anything that would be important.
So that you're able to just not worry about the text and just play.
And a lot of emphasis on play, because as you go through rehearsal and you're trying to figure out your character and how they speak and how they move, I find that if you have something that's so concrete from day one, you're never gonna deviate from that motion, from the way that you say that word. So yes, as I said, very heavy on play.
And only this combination I can afford. That were she other than she is, she were unhandsome, and being no other but as she is, I do not like her. Thou thinkest I am sort. I pray you tell me truly, how does thou like her? Would you buy her that you inquire after her? Can the world buy such a jewel? Yea, and the case to put it into.
The idea of the circle and separating you is forcing you to listen. Do you understand? You have to listen. Because if you don't listen, then you are just you and only you. And your character is not related to anybody else. You don't understand what the hell you are, why the hell you are, or the shifts within. When I talk to you about taking your time and breathing, it's not because I need you to sound like we are in a diction class, i.e. a pronunciation class, where everything is coming out like this, right? But if you don't start paying attention to the punctuation, then you're going to lose all the beauty, all the music of the language. You're going to miss what's coming out. The shifts. All punctuation means is this shift, mental, emotional, physical shift.
The process has been interesting. Obviously in the beginning we're on book. John does a lot of different things where we may be sitting in chairs where our backs to each other in the beginning. Then he would often have us walk around in a circle. Sometimes he would have us deliver our lines and do the scene very quickly. He even one time had us throwing a ball between us as two people were having dialogue and throwing a ball back and forth. So all these different techniques are really new to me, but I can see why he does that, because it really gets you thinking, in different ways as you're trying to get off book and really get into the character. So it's been really an interesting experience.
The overall experience for Shakespeare is actually really, really fun. Originally last year I didn't want to do Shakespeare at all. As a matter of fact, I hated Shakespeare. But I decided to take a chance, I decided to try it out, and I actually had a blast. I had so much fun.
It's super fun. You get to go up and you're in funny clothes, you get swords and belt buckles and boots and all this stuff, and that's really cool. The other thing is you get to share a hobby with people who are extremely dedicated, and the final thing is, if you have any interest in Shakespeare, the depth of understanding is like before and after working with John. It's not like night and day, it's like month and year. It's totally a different animal. And honestly, it's an addiction and I can't stop.
You find out that something doesn't work by trying it. You understand? By trying it. This is where you go through the process of crash and burn, find it, feel it, right? And steadily putting it together, piece by piece by piece.
Let's give a lot.
You dropped a word.
The word?
You dropped a word. It's just, I did never think to.
I did never think to marry. I must not seem proud. Happy are they that hear their attractions and can put them to mending. Why I keep coming back to the process and why I keep coming back to Summer Shakespeare is because at a core I am always going to be a student. I am always willing to learn. Shakespeare is the perfect foundation to learn because it's essentially like a different language, and it teaches you subtext, but also just the stories are timeless and they've lasted so long. To learn these stories and to learn these characters, And to learn all these different, to learn in prose, to learn in verse, even wordplay, double entendres, and all these things that may seem a little bit over the top when you first hear it. John, he really does guide you to understanding. That way you're not looking like a doll the entire time. And I still do.
As being an English major and, reading Shakespeare and then getting the opportunity to perform it, it's just, there are some things where when you're in the character and you have a director like John who's giving you notes and really helping you understand like the emotion and where that character is coming from, I feel like it helps you appreciate it more.
Stand I condemned for pride and scorn so much? Contempt farewell, and maiden pride adieu.
It keeps Shakespeare alive. Shakespeare is timeless. It's been around for hundreds of years, and for good reason. It's still very relatable. It's withstood the test of time, and it's very enjoyable still to this day, and you can't not have a great time.
To tell the truth, I counterfeit.
Never do so ill well unless with the very man. Here's his right hand up and down. Your heat, you are heat. Here's his right hand up and down. Your heat, you are heat.
The word I am not.
As of last Wednesday, we were, I would say, 80% solid off book. Tonight, we start capitalizing on off book and putting in basic entrance, exits, and areas where people will be playing. Now people are not holding a book, focusing on, I'm doing this now. No, what they're doing now is they're actually walking out and they're interacting with each other. They know the given circumstances behind an entrance, the where you're coming from and the where you're going to and the why you're going there, which are integral pieces to the text. Once actors finally get control of the text, not just, I know the line. No, when you understand the line, when you understand the motivation, the subtextual content behind the line, we're finally starting to hear what I call the music. When they understand what they're saying, it's character-driven text, intention-driven text, and that's sort of the music. It doesn't matter whether it's contemporary or classical text. That's the beauty of it, when you start to understand why people are doing things. And over the course of 20 years, it's always been the driving force. And one of the nicest compliments that have ever come back from anyone who's come to see it over the years is they understood what was presented.
One of the things I love so much and why I keep coming back is when I see that actor who really doesn't understand what they're saying to really understanding what they're saying. And to me, like even now, I'm getting like little tears because that's the miracle of Shakespeare. That is such joy. Like that is so big and important to me. And I could see that again year after year after year.
Will you walk about with your friend?
If you walk softly and look sweetly and say nothing.
Okay, hold. I'm definitely excited for Tech Week. It is freezing in the Performing Arts building, so being outside is going to be nice, although I'm sure I'm going to regret saying that once it's 80 degrees and humid.
And along with the costumes, I know it might be quite a sweaty experience.
Just breathing in water, because that is what the air is during that time. It's just water. But it's not water that will quench your thirst. No, quite the opposite.
It's hot, it's sweaty, there's bugs flying on your face, in your mouth, maybe something pooped on you. I got stung by a bee once on stage.
All of a sudden, you take this show on the road, so to say, and you're outside, and you better really haul ass a lot sooner than you think if you want to make it on time for a character to say their line.
You're going out there after you've done everything inside and you're solid on what your text is. In theory, we hope in theory you're solid on what everything is. So that then you add this extra layer.
All the building blocks that we did finally comes together. What I'm least excited for is to know what they're gonna put me in.
I honestly can't wait for the costumes. I'm super, super, super excited for the costumes, especially because last year I played a man, so I had a beard taped to my face the whole time. I actually get to wear a dress this year.
I remember the first play I was in, they put me in a dress. It was very itchy.
That you realize, like, oh, people are going to be sitting all the way over there, all the way over there, and all the way over there, and then John will be pacing even further back than that.
Guaranteed John is standing all the way in the back and he's saying, yeah, I can't hear you, might want to talk a little louder.
I'm also excited just to be able to get used to being outside again and doing it, because since then I've done a couple of shows inside and you kind of lose it, and you have to get used to screaming to get your point across and using your diaphragm to really project.
But you catch on to it faster than you think. Your body adjusts.
It has made all of us way more malleable and effectively better for the entire process.
I pray you, is Senor Montanto returned from the wars or no?
Terrifying, I think, kind of.
Opening night is great.
Opening night feels crazy.
Opening night is a beautiful disaster. I get really sweaty and then I get cold, then I shake a lot, then I have some of the most fun I've ever had in my life, and then it's over and I'm talking to my family and shaking hands with people.
Last year, I didn't think too many people were gonna come because it was hot, it was humid, there were mosquitoes everywhere, and I was really surprised. It was very pleasant to see a whole bunch of people on the great lawn here with their blankets, picnic baskets, everything.
You have to remember when you have to move this prop, what your set changes are, what your costume changes are. There's just 100 things on your mind.
It just feels like 30 seconds. I just wish it was longer.
I was excited for every night. Every night felt like opening night. Because every night was an opportunity. That brings you right back to process. Every night was a part of that same process, and every night was an opportunity to make more connections and to continue this growth process.
You've worked tirelessly, working 4 or 5 days a week in rehearsal, and that doesn't even include all the work that you do outside of rehearsal. And finally, you have moments where you can showcase all of the work that you've been putting into it, and it's magical.
It's like when all the magic comes together. It's like when you finally have that audience, like that's what they say, I guess, that's the last piece of it. And it all kind of clicks, even if it wasn't even clicking, as however many times you went through the show. You need the audience, really. You need that feedback, even if it's a tiny bit.
Enjoy it. Play your characters. Evolve. Make the natural step progress from last night to tonight. And we'll have this talk every night, and each night it gets more and more. Just do me one favor. Do not overdo it, cheese it up, bad acting. You understand what I mean? Okay? That's not what I mean by be big, be free, play, all that kind of stuff. Stay within the context of what you've created. If you've created something, trust that you've created it and play that. And play with that, and play with each other, and listen to each other. Process what's going on, as if it's the first time you've heard it, because quite honestly, it's what it's supposed to be every time. Game. All right. Good. Be loud.
Okay.
Hey, John.
Open night, John.
Where's your poison ivy suit?
I would love to put that on in this 90-degree weather.
You're the only one that was in a reasonable outfit.
I know. Believe me, I know.
Everybody else is wearing drapes.
Yep.
So here we are.
Opening night.
What do we want to talk about?
How you feeling?
It's always like crazy mixed. Part of it is always like, okay, what notes didn't you give yet? What do you still have to fix? So for me, opening night, and those of you who've been through this with me know this, it's not technically opening night. It's just an invited rehearsal. So audience comes to rehearsal, it changes everything, I want them to think that way, but at the same time, I'm not a fan of things being set in stone. So, you know, we've only been outside since Sunday. And there's people who don't, like, somewhere in this video, I'm sure there's something about, like, talking about, I mean, and I know I keep talking to you guys like you're here because you're part of it, so you understand it. Entrances and exits are key to pace and tempo, and there's also areas where they're absolutely a necessity that, you know, oh, like, oh, look here, Don Pedro approaches. Well, Don Pedro has to be in a place where he's visible, that kind of thing. And in 101, it's 2 steps, and Don Pedro's visible. You know, so getting those things cleaned up, getting the scene changes cleaned up. Scene changes drive me crazy because you have no masking whatsoever. So you have to make sure that people are beeline focused, like in, out, boom, done, get it done, move it. And it's kind of a crapshoot because you can't. For the last 4 nights, I could walk up on stage and say, I need you to sort of move here. I need you to do this, or don't, you know, you're doing that and that's not working. Maybe try this, right? That kind of. So now tonight, my hands are tied. I can just sit and watch, and as my wife says, try not to shake my leg too much when I'm sort of going, and you know, try to take some notes and not be too visible. I'm wondering if I can watch it from the corn crib through the slats, but that's going to be kind of difficult. But because you know, I watch something and they go, oh yeah, okay, note, and then my old brain forgets it 3 hours later, and then I'll remember it tomorrow at 5 o'clock, and I'll be like, oh shoot. So it's helpful to sort of jot something down somewhere. But I'm excited. And so the other part is the absolute relief of we've met the deadline, whatever the hell that means. It is what it is, and people have learned, people have grown, people are going to continue to grow, and they're going to get what they want out of it. And now I can just fade off to the corn crib and hide.
I always get so excited for opening night. It's like all the work and the energy and gift bags and just like all the costumes. It's just very wonderful and exciting. I get crazy and grumpy, but I really do. It's so much fun. Yay! I gotta go work.
Oh, I'm actually hyped as hell. It hasn't really hit me yet, but I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'm feeling great. No, but really, I feel like we're gonna do a good job. It's been a really, like, not tough, but it's been a long 2 months. We've had a lot of time to work with this. I think we're gonna do our best, and I think our best is gonna be really good.
Very excited, very excited. Second time doing it. Definitely won't be the last, you know, having a lot of fun, and we're gonna have a lot of fun on that stage. It's where all of our hard work pays off.
Well, hyped, scared, excited, like all of it sort of together.
I'm very excited. I don't think I'd call it nervous. I'm just like antsy. Like, I want it to start. And I'm not in the show until the second half. So that first half's gonna be kind of killer for me just sitting there.
I'm feeling really excited. The nerves haven't really set in yet. I'm sure like right before I'm about to go on stage, they're gonna like hit me. But right now I'm feeling pretty good.
I don't even know my lines, so I'm not even ready.
Joy, what you do about that?
Will you not tell me who told you so?
No, you shall pardon me.
Nor will you tell me who you are.
Not now.
Well, this was Signor Benedict that said so.
What's he?
I'm sure you know him well enough.
Not I, believe me. I pray you, what is he?
Why, he's the prince's jester.
A very dull fool. Only his gift is in devising impossible slanders. None but libertines delight in him, and the commendation is not in his wit, but in his villainy.
Sing no more ditty, sing no more of dumb so dull and heavy. The fraud of men was ever so, since summer first was levy. Then sigh not so, but let them go, and be you blithe and bonny, converting all your songs of woe into hey nonny nonny.
20 years of Summer Shakespeare.
Legacy. What does legacy mean? I had somebody last night after the show walk up to me and say, John, where's that, he's not a kid anymore, where's that guy, he's kind of older, and you know, he's been in all the shows, and I always talk to him afterwards, and he's not here. I was like, I kind of knew he was talking about Asher. He's got other stuff he has to do, and I said, but Asher is actually tops out at 13. Asher's done 13 shows. He's the winner of how many seasons he's been with me. The reason I say that is because it's like a microcosm, right? This person's been coming here forever. I mean, think about it. I'm old, and I've been doing this for 20 years, and there's people who've actually been with us for, 10, 15 years who just keep coming back. To me, that's the legacy, right? The legacy is they personify the idea of the ensemble and the family and the fun and the things we've done. And it's, there's legacy for you.
There's something different with how the cast works together and gels together, and not every year has been great, but most years it's just we form like a little family, and it fills my heart.
So the question is, if you did it more than once, why did you keep coming back?
Yeah, I don't know how else to explain the addiction to it. The thrill of like just 8 nights out there with over 20 people that you didn't know before. Maybe you knew some of them, and you get it together. And
We also had like a core group of folks that would keep coming back. You develop like this little family.
You can't not come back.
It's the people. Number one, John Bukovac was my mentor. He was my favorite teacher, my favorite director. But I also kept coming back for the rest of the people, for Sherry, for Judy, for Flo, for all the people I got to work with and act with and just watch.
Like the island of misfit toys, as John would sometimes call us.
Even when rehearsal was over, we'd be there for hours, and then we'd still stand outside in the parking lot. We couldn't get rid of each other. We just didn't want it to end. And then even performing, and I've never had another opportunity like that for as much theater as I've done. It almost sounds silly because you almost can't explain what it is, but it is. It's the people. It's such a special tradition, and it's such a
community that grows within me every year. Again, I'm getting the tears in my eyes. This is ridiculous. It's not ridiculous, it's a good thing. The growth is more than just the outside growth. It's the growth of the people that either regularly are involved or people that come back, and even sometimes our actors who just come back to watch it year after year, and the emotional bond between us. Like even looking at you is like there's an emotional bond that is not just Shakespeare, but definitely from Shakespeare. And I think that's all part of the growth too, is what John and Brookdale has built through offering this every year to not just Brookdale, but the entire community. The end for that.
Whether or not you ever do another show after this, what do you hope is the lasting memory? For yourself, for other people, whatever that means to you, that question.
I've worked with and taught 250 people in the actual cast over 20 years. That's what's important to me. Those people have come here, they've worked, They've gotten something out of it. They've gotten acting experience. They've gotten process experience. They've gotten ensemble experience. They have memories, even if they don't necessarily go, oh, hey, John, I remember when, or blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. You can't erase those memories from those people. What's important is that, as I said to them tonight, and I've pretty much said to every cast over 20 years, you've just given 200 plus hours of your life and 9-10 weeks of your life. Did you get what you wanted? Was it, you know, are you coming here because you want to come here, not because you feel obligated to come here? It's for them. It's really not for me.
I think it's very rare what Summer Shakespeare does, because you see a lot of free Shakespeare in the park, or, you know, Shakespeare on the green, but this show has been going on for as long as it has, which is crazy, but also it is completely unadapted, unabridged. It is free, it is a tradition, and for any audience member to watch it, you know that you're a part of something special.
I found a lot of freedom in Summer Shakespeare that I've applied to my everyday life. Things like staying present, things like managing my expectations. I've learned lessons that I have incorporated into my professional life that I wouldn't have learned otherwise if I didn't do these productions.
It made my learning experience so unique. I like what it did for the way that I approach music. You think about Shakespeare, it's language that's meant to be heard. It changed the whole course of my life, and it changed the way I see the work that I do now. And I'm really grateful.
I use everything I learned through John Bukovac and at Summer Shakespeare in my career every day. I still have a lot of those shows on my resume, and I would not be
who I am today without Summer Shakespeare.
Every year, I also even now into my 30s, I'm like, should I do it? Should I give up every night for 3 months to go do it?
If you're thinking about it, honestly, just do it. You will have the time of your life. You will make friends that, you know, you could still call or text 10, 15 years down the line. You will really learn your limits, but you will also share a lot of joy, a lot of happiness. Freedom, a lot of freedom.
We're set.
Okay, I'm on my way.
I'm gonna assume even if you're watching this like 10, 20 years in the future and it's completely different people, they're probably all great just because the environment Buck and Judy have kind of instilled into this program, and it just turns out to be an experience to remember. I would recommend it to everyone I talk to.
So, as I said, if you're thinking about it, stop thinking about it. Just do it.